Hello! I'm Dave Hewitt, and I'm joined here by Christopher Harris and Jim McCormick, and I don't know which way to point, but they're here with me for Mock Draft Friday, brought to you by Fantrax. We had a lot of fun. We got on with some listeners and did a 12-person mock draft. It is a blast, and I learned that I wasn't totally prepared. How are you guys feeling? Were you guys more prepared than Producer Dave?
I was prepared. I was probably too. So we did this draft. It was a standard league, standard scoring league, 14-round draft with no kickers and no defenses, 3 receivers to start, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. And we did it with 9 listeners of the show and or fans of the YouTube channel on Fantrax. They all joined us. And I think my impression was that everybody had my almanac. That was my impression.
Yeah, it's a lot of sniping going on when everybody's going off of one man's Bible. What I liked about it is the standard part of it. I know that's like we're so used, like PPR has now become the standard. So it just, to me, it diversifies it. And also I think of like total yardage more. I think of players maybe not on an equal playing field, but I mean, I'm not counting those extra video game points, right? So it feels to me a little purer in a way. So I like that part.
Yeah, and plus standard gives you a reason to take Derrick Henry second overall, which I'm sure Chris
exactly. Yes, yeah, and it's like, and it's a sound pick, obviously, but yeah, I think Chris would think about Derrick Henry really high. So
I was so disappointed to see Derrick Henry go that high.
I had breakfast with Derrick Henry when he was in high school, so I'm allowed to take him high.
Yeah, you were texting him during the draft, like, "Hey, man, remember me? Should I take you in this mock draft?"
Yeah, I was like, "Do you remember?" You were the fat guy in that hotel in Oregon? And he was like, "Yep, I do."
But yeah, so we had a lot of fun doing this draft on Fantrax. We had fans in there joining with us. It was so exciting that we had people running around the parking lot. Carlos was going nuts.
Well, he wasn't running around the parking lot because he was excited. He couldn't find a signal in Planet Fitness. Not to light up Planet Fitness or anything, but it's not Carlos's fault.
Well, you can imagine, like, if you're in your car getting ready to go in the gym, and you see this guy aimlessly walking around holding his phone, and you're just like, that guy's in a Fantrax draft right now.
He's shouting, Latavius Murray, Latavius Murray. Yeah, we know exactly.
And it all makes sense.
Of course. I was worried when he said he was in there that like he was going to be a meet Joe Black. He was just going to get hit by a car. But
well, I'm glad we didn't, and he seemed very nice. Everybody seemed very nice. It was a really, really, really sweet group. We had a very lively chat.
It was a lively chat. So let's actually get into the draft so people can see it here. I've got the big board that I can share, and the first round picks went really well until I took Devontae Adams.
No, not where you went.
I think it might have been the second round when you took Jacobs over.
Nah, see, now that's where we're going to disagree. I don't hate what you did. It was 8 running backs, and I frankly have a couple of those running backs after Adams anyway. I'm actually, if you're picking late, I mean, you can speak to it, Dave. You just went through it, but I mean, if you're picking late, and it's first of all, it's not a PPR league, right? So the receivers are maybe a little demoted. It's ugly. You're not going to find a running back one you feel good with.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, 8 running backs, wide receivers went, and then I was left with 8 running backs went, and so I was left with Saquon. Do I feel okay, or like my number 1 running back on my board feels like gold? I was like, I'll take him and lock it up, but it gets rough later. Right. Like it gets bleak.
I mean, so like I probably would take Saquon there. But like we're recording this in very early August. We don't know. So I think what you did is viable. Like, Henry, I was never going to take it for. I was just going to take whichever of the 3 guys fell to me, and it wound up being Kamara. My situation was feeling like coming around the other direction. And Jim, you can speak to it even more. Like the end of the second round, Jim. Holy Toledo, It is bleak.
Yeah, it was getting ugly. I'm really happy that Edwards-Helaire made it. I'm not even huge on him. It was the last opportunity I felt to get like invested in something with some stability, right? Some projectability. I know, we all have to run away from the Jerick McKinnon, updates, like the Roto World blurbs to like make us run away from. But my point being the cliff was already there. I was looking at the running back cliff. I know Parker had mentioned that there's this deep pool of running backs. I couldn't find them. But you can tell like this draft's color coded. I think Dave will share it. You'll see like it's just a sea of green afterwards. The receiving draft basically started after this. So you had to get a running back here, I think, or I mean, not even to be old school, just the way this market worked, or you're going to be really left out.
See, we talked a lot in the chat about the flatness of the positions, and it's dead right. But the problem is the receivers are flat too. Mm-hmm. So like, there's really no. I feel like as early as and there are like 15 players that I like, and after that I can make a case for any of them. I can make a case for every player that went in the second round, the third round, the fourth round. But I can also make the obvious case against them. Do you want me to make the obvious case against Edwards-Helaire? It's called 2020. Like there's an obvious case for and against all of them, whereas there's not as an obvious case for the top 15 players. I'm not saying that I kind of disagree that you had to get a running back there because like eventually you'd get a running back and you would be like, I guess he's not all that different than Edwards-Helaire. But the problem is the wide receiver that you would have taken there, it wouldn't have been that different from the wide receiver you would have taken in the fifth round. This is a year, I think you're just talking about you're firing a lot of shots and you just hope you're a lot of flat options and you're just hoping.
That's like that's the Eagles passing game. Just a lot of
No, that used to be the Eagles passing game.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about, Chris, because right there, I was coming back because I was feeling the pain of there's the wide receiver 3, the infinite sadness we talk about. And then for running back, I was also looking saying there's no difference. We need a term for that. In the chat, we were calling it the yuck. Maybe like it was just like all these guys are the same-ish. What do I do here? So I ended up like I grabbed a wide receiver and I got a quarterback a little earlier than I wanted. But that's the point of doing the mock drafts, right? Especially here in early August is you try this out and see what doesn't work so that you're more ready for your draft when it comes up.
Right. Well, yeah. My second pick wound up being Kittle. Metcalf went right before me, sniped. Certainly Metcalf would have been my pick. Kittle is my 21 overall player in a standard league, and the top 20 players on my list they were all using my list, obviously. Like it's, I thank them all. They're fans of mine. So I just took Kittle, and that certainly changed my draft, right? If I get a receiver there, it changes. I don't particularly want to take the tight end there, but it's sort of best available.
Let's take a quick moment again and say thanks to Fantrax.
So Fantrax is sponsoring Mock Draft Fridays, and they've been a great partner on the podcast. They are going to be a great partner continue through August on the YouTube channel as well. We really enjoyed this. We talked about it before that it's like, wow, Fantrax has sort of gotten to where they are where they are in baseball. They've gotten there in football. Like if you've known them for baseball, or Jim plays a lot of like dynasty basketball on Fantrax, the football product is really, really good now. This draft was perfect without a hitch. It's got everything you want, and the customization that we did a very basic scoring, but my goodness, you can literally do anything. I think literally you can do anything that's a football stat with Fantrax. So fantrax.com/Harris if you start an account. We're also doing a best ball league with all of us are in it and hundreds of other people are in it. We'll put the link to the best ball league that is free to play, and there's going to be $1,000 in prizes in the show notes. So click on that. Actually, first, if you don't have an account, go to fantrax.com/Harris, then click on the league and join us.
Yeah, and something cool I want to add about doing the mock drafts specifically on Fantrax after you get the account is they take all the mock drafts and keep it for the whole season long and play it out like a best ball. So while other people might not care about it, I really wanted to beat Chris and Jim in this league. Like, no one might care about this thing, but I wanted it. I wanted to have this. So sign up. It's fun.
So can I tell you guys the point at which I was like, the first pick that made me go, wow, was 401 Vinny, who has been a longtime follower of the league, and he's taking one viewpoint of the world, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but he's decided the talk about James Robinson is real. At 401, he took James Robinson, and Travis Etienne didn't wind up going until mid-6th, I think. It made me go, wow, even though I understand it. Of course, I understand if we're just where we were last year and James Robinson's the starter, he should have gone higher than that.
Yeah, so you bringing up Robinson has a good point, too. It makes me think of, in the chat, it came up by the guy by Parker, who drafted Chubb, and he was talking about, like, do I take Chubb and Hunt?
Right.
Like, do I want to handcuff it this early? What do you think? And that was right around, like, 4 he brought it up, going into
So Jim, that was a really good question, Jim. And was it the 4th round?
Yeah,
or was it the 5th
asked
round?
during round 4. It was going into round 5. It would have been his 5th round pick. I took Hunt in 5th.
Okay, so but he was picking in the 5th. So Jim, I was going to ask you that question. It was an interesting one. So let's say you took Chubb in the 1st, and you get to the 5th, and Hunt is there. That's very early for a handcuff. Do you consider Hunt a handcuff?
No, I would consider him like in this format, like you'd have to consider him my flex, right? Like I treated this like a 3 running back league the way that it worked out for me. You'd have to consider him a flex, and that's who he's been now for 2 years with a healthy Chubb. You're going to have these weird weeks where he's not a part of the game script because it's all Chubb running, but there's also these weeks where he gets these really important Danny Woodhead series where you like, even without the reception part mattering for you, he's a good scrimmage player. So he's going to continue to be that scrimmage player. I don't see why that changes. It's just that I think the thing with consolidating into one offense is obviously you're tied to the volatility of one offense as opposed to diversifying that in your lineup and saying, if Cleveland's bad this week, you're probably bad. Right? Like,
but can I give you the counter? I would have done it.
Sure.
If I'd been him, if I'd been him in the 5th round, I would have done. If Hunt was sort of next-ish on my board, I would have done it. Backing up Chubb, because first of all, you're backing up Chubb, and if one of them gets hurt, you hit the lottery. You hit the ticket. And again, these positions are so freaking flat. We think the guy we're taking in the 8th round stinks, but as long as we take shots again and again and again, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'll find someone we can start. By week 3, we'll find someone else we can start, and Chubb doesn't need to be in my lineup.
Well, somebody had mentioned that, like, for it to pay off or for you to, like, validate the pick, it would have to be, like, Kamara Ingram. And it's like, that's not true. It has to be Hunt Chubb, like what it's been the last 2 years.
What it was, yes, yeah. But I'll say, like, even if you're worried that Hunt Chubb together over the course of a year looks good statistically, it can be a rough ride because they're both bad or both good at the same time. That's fair. My point is that I think I'll find a flex somewhere else because that's just the league now.
Yeah, sure. I just meant more mentality-wise. Like, don't even think of it as a handcuff. Like, think of it as just another good player. Like, I would take 2 really good receivers if that's how the market fell to me. So,
all right. So, what do you have next for us there, Dave Hewitt?
Oh, well, speaking of lottery tickets, Michael Thomas lasted all the way until round 7, and then you got surprised. Someone sniped Michael Thomas right before you got him. That was pretty fun, at least for me.
I mean, it wasn't surprising. I wanted him. It's not surprising he was the next guy on my list. That was very much not the surprise of the draft day. But I did want him. I mean, 7th round is, I think, about where he should go. He was next up in my ranks.
I passed on him. I can see regretting it. I thought Andrews is kind of a nice standard tight end, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but he's a touchdown scorer. My favorite pick, but was Damian. I like Damian Harris in a standard league.
You do, huh?
I do.
So you're the one.
I'm the one. I guess what I'm saying is in the 6th.
What round was it?
6th.
6.
I don't think that's bad. In a standard league, I understand I'm probably overthinking like the shift in scoring, but just the fact that he's not being taxed for the complete lack of third down play, in this scoring format. But again, he's competing with everybody else from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just reading I like Mike Reese and I'm just reading I'm reading too much. He's a nice man and I'm reading too much of what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, so I'll nobody's going to get mad at you for taking a shot on a maybe run heavy offense in the 6th round. That's not.
Yeah.
I might not have been my pick, but I can't get mad at you. It's just I know how this goes. Yeah. I really don't believe anybody has that job. No, it's not even Cam. I don't believe anybody has the job. I don't believe it's Damian Harris getting 20 carries. I think, Sony Michel makes the team or he doesn't and someone else steps in. Ramondre Stevenson is, isn't Ramondre Stevenson basically Damian Harris? Aren't they the same guy separated at birth? I don't know.
It's but I know Damian Harris's name, so.
Good point. Was it 6th round Daryl Henderson? Did I get him 6th?
4th round, but it might as well be the 6th because
it was 4th.
Yeah, like you said, I think you said it best. It was a scrolling thing.
I think in Fantrax's default ranks, Daryl Henderson hasn't risen up yet, and he wasn't on the first page, and I think people would have taken him. I forgot that it was the 4th. I'm not looking at the board. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but that was a good point that you mentioned that he was off the board, and I really could have used that running back, right? We just made a video on him. Everyone should go watch. And he was off the screen, and I should have used him.
Right. We did a video, and my sense is that I might be a little bit lower on him than the market early in August. And my keeping him out of my top 20 running backs has really just been about this feeling that we're going to get to, September 6th, and the Rams are going to sign someone, and we're all going to feel terrible. But yeah, if you get him where I got him, I think it's probably okay.
So I'll take the screenshot. I'll tweet it out. I'll put the link down in the comments if anyone wants to look at the big board. So let's jump ahead to the end of the draft. Jim and Chris, Jim, I'll ask you first. Is there any pick that stood out, a favorite pick after the 10th round?
I just said that I did have a favorite pick in prepping for this, but then I'm looking at it again. I'm like, these are all terrible players. But no, seriously, I actually don't hate my own pick of Mecole Hardman.
Me too.
I don't hate that pick in terms of this late, and also I know we talked about the standard thing, but this is the kind of guy who in a Deshaun way could have 45 catches, but still put up the requisite yards and maybe a couple splash touchdown games. It's kind of fun there. I actually don't hate that pick.
Yeah, I like that. So what about you, Chris? Any favorite here at the end?
So obviously me taking Nelson Aguilar, a huge stroke of genius. Everybody knows what a believer I was in Nelson Aguilar all last year. But Darnell Mooney, I've sort of generally found myself gravitating toward him and let him go one round further than I should, I think. I think that's right. I can't remember whether actually I did or not, whether he went before or after me. But in retrospect, sort of, if I could replace Aguilar with Mooney, I probably... In a lottery ticket sort of way, I think Aguilar winds up with more points. He's the number one receiver, right? He probably winds up with more points. But if I hit it rich, I don't think I'm going to hit it rich with Aguilar, and I could with Mooney, maybe. Truly, though, the best pick of the later rounds, you guys can tell me. Bring it on. Obviously, my 13th round pick, amazing.
Really?
Yeah, Mike Williams is fantastic.
Can
you believe he fell? Can you believe Mike Williams fell to the 13th round? What a genius! Hold on, I'm being told this is the Mike Williams who played for Syracuse and hasn't been in the league since 2014.
Yes, that's right.
It's like the Ohio State, but it's one of the Mike Williams.
So don't do that. Don't do what I just said. I'm not sure what he's doing in the game, but probably check which school he went to. Oh, that wasn't the best.
I mean, it was my favorite pick, so it was the best in some ways.
It is a throwback. It's a throwback to the old Adrian Peterson days, which is nice. So,
yeah, that's what I was going to say, is if you're doing an auction draft, maybe throw the wrong Mike Williams out there first. You got something. But that's the fun we can have on Fantrax. So if you don't have an account, click the link and sign up. And then after that, you can join our best ball. The link is down below. There's $1,000 in prizes. And you can have a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun tonight, and thanks to everyone who joined us. And thank you, Christopher, and thank you, Jim McCormick, our _ Baron, for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.